Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're continuing the marching series that we started last video. So in the last video we talked a little bit about my credentials and we got into the grip. We talked about the right hand grip and the left hand grip in traditional grip, and today we're going to talk about frame and posture and all that good stuff. And I'm going to show you from different angles. I'll show you from this angle what the frame looks like, what I typically look for in my drumline in terms of frame. The posture is pretty much universal. It may be different at your school, but it's good to know what generally posture comes from. In my posture, I learned it from a guy that marched Cavaliers in the mid 2000s when they were actually really good. So this comes directly from DCI, so I think it becomes a pretty universal thing from there on out. But I'll kind of show you the different angles, you know, from the top what stick placement looks like, and from the bottom what the sticks look like, and you'll understand why I'm doing all these crazy movements once you see that part. So if you want to just go look at the grip and how to hold the stick for marching, snare, and tenor playing, but just from the one hand, go ahead and go back to the first video that I have in this series to go ahead and see how to hold the stick. And this one is, again, like I was saying, is more about frame and posture, and maybe if we have some time we'll get to the first stroke. I don't know, it can be a little involved, especially with the different angles. So hope you enjoy the video, and we'll see you guys at the end. Okay, so first things first, the first thing I want to talk about is frame and posture. So let's talk about posture real quick. Anytime that you're playing, whether you have a drum strapped on, whether you have your drum in front of you on a stand, whether you're sitting and patting it up or whatever it may be, it's maybe not so important when you're sitting patting it up, but when you're standing and things like that, especially for your audition later on, if you do have one, you want to have good posture. So what I mean by that, I know right now I'm sitting, but I can kind of demonstrate to you guys. What I mean by bad posture are a couple of things. You'll learn more about this when you're on the field, and your DIs or your marching instructor or anything like that are teaching you proper posture to march and things of that nature. But just a quick crash course on it, especially for drumming purposes, there are a couple things that you don't want to do when you're drumming, and I see it a lot, especially when you're chilling out or anything like that. Eventually you'll get used to this kind of posture and it won't be a big thing anymore. So the first thing that you don't want to do, which I will see a lot, especially if you're sitting down, is to be just collapsed and chilling whenever you're playing. Okay, you don't want to do that. You don't want to compress everything, all of your arms, because then you tense up and you can't get the proper frame that you need. Okay, so you want to sit up pretty tall, chest up. Okay, this translates really well to when you're standing up. Okay, so chest up, nice and open, right? Nice and open chest. You want to be collapsed, like if you're always flexing, right? You want to keep your chest nice and big, so you can kind of roll your shoulders back a little bit. This helps, especially when you're standing up. Roll your shoulders back so that they're not forward. You want to have them a little bit back and super relaxed. Okay, you don't want them up here. This is bad tension. Any kind of tension, as I said, I think I said in the previous video, you don't want any kind of tension whenever you're drumming. So this starts right here at the shoulders. It doesn't start just down here at the hand. It starts here at the shoulder and the neck and everything, okay, that you have up here. You don't want to have tense shoulders, because that tension is going to translate down to your hands, your muscles, and all that stuff. So you want to be super relaxed. Okay, you want to have a nice downward angle to your shoulders. Okay, so that's number one. Have rolled back shoulders and very relaxed. Okay, so big chest, relaxed shoulders. Okay, and you don't want to compress your abdominals. Okay, so yeah, you could be relaxed here, but then if you're compressed, that doesn't help. Okay, so you want to have nice tall posture when you're playing, straight back, all that good stuff. This is going to translate really well to when you strap on the drum and things like that, and prevent you from getting hurt and all that jazz. So now we talked about the posture pretty much. Let's talk about the frame now, your frame. This is going to vary from school to school, drumline to drumline, but kind of talk about the general things that I look for in my drumlines. Okay, so some of you guys are going to be marching tilt, so that'll be a little bit, just a little bit different. Some of you guys might be marching flat. I'm going to kind of just talk about the flat portion of frame, okay, because it changes a little bit when you're tilt, but I march flat. Most, if not all, the DCI groups out there march flat, and all of my drum lines, the ones that I've taught, have marched flat. I just prefer it to tilt. It just takes away a lot of guesswork from the tilted drums. And nowadays there's really no need for a tilted drum. I mean, they're not strapped to your leg anymore. So okay, so let's talk about the frame. So typically I see two extremes, and then where this is really the right hand that we have to talk about when we talk about frame, because that's the one that tends to fluctuate the most. Okay, so I see two extremes when I see right hand frame, and by the frame I mean like this right here. This is your frame, or what I call the frame. Okay, so I see two extremes. The first extreme that I usually see is this. Okay, just a super a close elbow, which is fine, but then this starts messing with the wrist right here. You see there's a break here. Okay, so you don't want that break, at least not for me. This creates tension in the wrist and really kind of hurts a little bit if you have this break. So this creates some tension that I'm not a fan of, right? I know it's kind of hard to see, but I'm going to do my best to kind of show you guys what I'm talking about, okay? So that's the one extreme. When you guys have, when students tend to have their elbow really close to their body, that's case number one. Extreme case number two is when players tend to have their elbow way out here. And that kind of fixes this right here, puts a lot of tension on the shoulder, and you get a weird stroke that comes from the side, and you don't want that kind of side stroke either. So we kind of want to have a happy medium in the elbow department, okay? So typically for me, you just have a little bit of an open elbow, just a hair, until you don't really have a break in the wrist. You see that? So you don't want to break the wrist any which way in order to get a 90-degree angle on the pad, which we'll kind of talk about in a little bit right now. So the frame, yeah, you don't want it too close and you don't want it too far. Right now for me, that's pretty nice. I know you can't see it, but I don't have much of a break in my wrist here, okay? And it's not going to give me any awkward strokes either from the side or from the front with this break that's very uncomfortable for me. So right here, okay, you want to have a nice open A kind of sort of frame to your right hand, okay? So that's the right hand. Now the left hand frame, it's a little bit looser in interpretation, but general rule of thumb is kind of the same thing. You don't want it out here. This is the worst of the two extremes, okay? Because then you get like this kind of a deal, okay? The wrist is broken in this way, like this, and then like you can't get the rotation if your elbow's way out here, okay? And then if you're in here, then you also limit yourself just a hair. You can get more height, but then you look like you're cramped and it looks funny. So generally I like to just let the elbow hang like if it were hanging normally. So you got a little bit of space in between the elbow and your torso, okay? So that's my left hand frame right here typically, and I'll show you guys the angles right now from a little bit higher up, but that's the left hand frame. I typically like to have it hang down pretty naturally, okay? So this I kind of have to force it to come in, this I have to force it out. If I just relax and pick it up, that's where you want to be, okay? Same thing with the right hand. I mean, just relax and come up to here, and that's typically the frame that I like, okay? Right here, not too far out, not too far in, a nice relaxed comfortable frame, okay? So you guys can kind of see what that looks like, okay? So remember, big chest, relaxed shoulders, and this is the front look for the frame, okay? I'll kind of give a top view right now, and we'll talk about angles of sticks and things of that nature. So first of all, high up there. Second of all, we're going to go ahead and talk about the frame, but from up there. I know I'm sitting down right now, but it's kind of the same idea. So we're going to talk about the frame from up there so you can kind of see what the stick angles and things of that nature look like from the top. And you're going to kind of see this better from your view, etc., etc. So first things first, okay, you can kind of see from right here what I'm going to be talking about. So we're going to kind of talk about the frame and what it looks like from up there. So first, I'll kind of show you what I was talking about. You can kind of see here that my arm has that angle that we were talking about. You don't want it too close or whatever it is, okay? So you get a nice distance. And if you look at the wrist right here, I don't have a crazy break this way, okay? Is what I was talking about earlier. If your elbow's too close, okay, you get this and it's a break that kind of hurts, okay? But if you go out a little bit, you kind of get a little bit more leeway to not be like this, because if I go like this, then my stick's out here. But if I turn the stick back, it's right back in the center. You guys see that? Okay, that's what you kind of want, okay? That elbow distance, that's kind of how you can gauge it. If this is straight, then it's pretty close, okay? So that's the distance you want there. The left, again, you have this little space here, okay? Now let's talk about angle here, okay? There's going to definitely be an angle whenever you're set. Oh, and by the way, this is set position in case you weren't sure. So whenever they call set or anything like that, or attention, this is where mostly you'll be if your stick's out. So again, we're talking about frame. Set position includes frame, it includes posture, all that stuff that is in set position, and angles and all that good stuff. So like I was saying, okay, let's talk about the angle, okay? So if you notice right here, I typically prefer kind of like a 90-degree angle to my students and to my drum lines. Okay, so you see this right here. Some people call this the pizza slice or whatever. I like 90 degrees. So what that means is that you get a 90-degree angle right here, kind of like a square. Okay, some people actually like 45 degree, but I feel that that constricts a little bit too much. Okay, and it looks a little awkward. So 90 degrees is where I like it. I think it gives you a nice open concept. Now I know you can't see this right now. My sticks have a downward tilt to them, okay, and I'll show this a little bit later from a different angle, but my sticks have a downward tilt to the frame. Okay, so my hands are set right here at this angle, okay, and you always want to play in the center of the drum. Right now this is my pad, but you want to have your beads in the center of the drum. You see that? Okay, so that's right there, okay, but they have a downward angle, and I'll kind of talk about that right now actually. So here's a closer look at the sticks from the front. Okay, you can kind of see the frame here and everything. I know it's a little bright, it's kind of hard to see, but this is what you kind of want to have when you're set and in your set position. Okay, you don't want to be down flat because then you get rim. Okay, so that's the main reason for having this downward angle to the sticks, is to not get rim whenever you're playing. Okay, so you kind of see everything right here. Space here, okay, space over here, and a nice unbroken wrist here, okay, and that's pretty much it. I know it's kind of hard to see in a video, but you kind of saw the different angles, you know, from the front, what it looks like from right here, the frame and all that stuff, right from the pad level, you know, you kind of saw the angles of the stick, but that's pretty much posture and frame. I know we didn't get to the first stroke, dang it, okay, but I think posture and stuff like that was important, and frame was important to go over. It's going to be very important later on. I thought that it was important to go over, especially if you're going to be in a line. Now, keep in mind, of course, like I said, this might change for you and your drum line, okay? So don't take the frame and the grip, you know, as law. You know, that's what you have to do no matter what. Your instructor may have different ideas and different ways that he approaches things. And of course, in my opinion, there's no such thing as incorrect drumming. There's just different styles. I mean, all over the world, there are different styles. This is just my personal take on it. So again, like always, thanks so much for stopping by. If you have any questions, leave them for me down below, and I will try to answer as many of them as possible. And of course, if it's a universal problem, I will absolutely address it in a later video so that everybody can kind of see. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, and be on the lookout for the next video. I think for sure on that next one, we'll get to the first stroke. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. See ya.